There's way too many in this world.
That's the I was thinking about it today. That's the one thing I'm learning from doing this is people don't want, not even labeled, they don't want to be defined by whatever. Mm-hmm. Like this young man yesterday, I'm not autistic. I have autism.
Yeah.
You know, somebody else was, you know, talking about, well, I'm not an alcoholic. I have, you know, alcoholism or whatever. But it's they don't want to be defined by whatever. You know, the big black guy, you know, guy at work was talking to me about that. Like, we hate being called the big black guy. Yeah. I don't want to be defined by my skin color, my gender, my blah, blah, blah.
Well, I think because it then allows for people to have biases against them. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many conscious and unconscious biases in this world that the second someone's labeled something, those biases start to go through other people's minds
all
about
those prejudices and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it's so real in our world. So it makes sense why they wouldn't want to be labeled by something.
Yeah, well, it's like I was telling you the other day about Ashlyn. Whenever she was describing it. Well, so Vicky and I go to Ashlyn's award ceremony, and they're doing AB honor roll or whatever. And a little kid in Ashlyn's class is like, looks at Vicky, he's like, give me $20. And so we're telling Ashlyn that story, and she's like, what was his name? He's like, I think it was Jaden. And Ashlyn says, did he have black curly hair? We're like, yeah, he had black curly hair. And the same thing happened when she was talking about a little girl in her class.
Yeah.
Vicky's, I don't even remember this young lady's name, but Vicky had mentioned something. She's like, that really tall girl?
Yeah.
Not as tall as Skylar, but the other one that's really tall. These are the only two black kids in their class.
Yeah.
And she does not describe them by color. And I wanted to tell her how proud I was.
But you don't want to draw attention to it.
I don't want to influence her. I don't want her to say, because it doesn't matter to her, obviously. And I don't want it to do it, but I'm so proud of her. And like I said, she's only mentioned it one time.
Yeah.
And she was a lot younger. She was probably maybe 5, 6, probably 6. We were in Pittsburgh playing in a fountain, and a thunderstorm was rolling in, and a giant bolt of lightning and thunder. And this guy just takes off running. And Ashlyn's like, Daddy, why did that brown man leave his baby?
Oh my gosh.
But that's the only time she's ever said anything. But it's amazing to me when you see that with all the crap going on in the world. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, go to a playground where kids are playing. That's all you have to do.
What's the craziest thing is, you know, how we had met before and we were talking kind of about like my interracial relationship. And I always attributed why... I don't want to say I don't see color, but I don't notice color on a different level than a lot of society, right? There's a lot of people who go through life and everyone's equal in their eyes. And that's how I've always been my entire upbringing. And I always attribute it to my dad being 100% Italian, right? Because growing up, my dad was extremely tan. I mean, the tanning bed was his king, like all day, okay? So I always attribute it to that because when I was little, you know, you normally want things that look like you, right? A representation of yourself. Sure. So when you're a Caucasian child, you want, let's say, a Caucasian Barbie doll, right? I always wanted a dark-skinned Barbie doll. My mom still tells me to this day that I threw a tantrum until I got that dark-skinned Barbie doll. Literally. Yeah. So I finally got it, and that was my baby. And I always just attributed it, like I said, that my dad was tan. And I really did some thinking. After we talked that time, I said, well, what was different about my childhood? Okay, in high school, we had exploring and respecting differences classes. You know, we were never brought attention to any differences, just that everyone was to love each other. But then I realized that I went back to my very first best friends, my 2 best friends, okay? I stayed at their house every weekend.
Right.
We were together. I was around their families, everything. Do you know that I never realized that my first best friend ever, who I was always at her house, her dad is a man of color, and her mom, I believe she is, God, I'm going to get this wrong, so Venezuelan or something to that extent, okay? And then I realized my second best friend, who I grew up with, her dad was a man of color, and her mom was Caucasian.
Yeah.
Never connected it, never noticed it, never saw anything strange or different about it ever growing up. That's really amazing to me, right? Because here I am, a child, and I see 2 people, but it doesn't matter to me, right? It doesn't matter what they look like. They love each other, and I see that love and that interaction, and it's beautiful. So here I sit now growing up through the years, seeing nothing strange about 2 people of different ethnicities, different colors, different cultures together. That's beautiful, right? Yeah. So many kids don't have that.
Yeah. Well,
seriously.
And like, so I didn't have it growing up.
Yeah.
And I don't, because even like when I lived in high school in the 90s, in the projects were segregated.
Oh, 100%.
So like there was maybe 5 different ones in the town that I lived in. The section I lived in was segregated, or it wasn't segregated. It was mixed race, but it was segregated because all the white people lived in apartments and all the black folks lived in the duplexes. So it was segregated there. But like they just tore it down, I believe, but there was one of them still named Robert E. Lee, apartments.
Really?
But then there was like one section, that one apartment thing called Riverview, and that's just where they put all the black folks that were in the system, in the government housing and stuff like that. And I just thought, that's just the way it was, right? It was just what you were exposed to. And then as I started getting older and growing up and meeting people or whatever and just making friends, you just learn that it was crazy. Like I was oblivious to what's going on. And today, I'm sure it still happens, but it would be, to me, it would be almost unheard of to think about a government agency putting all the people of color in one section. Oh, yeah. All the Caucasian people somewhere else.
You were just talking about your housing development. What was it, 2008, that crash? And they gave the majority of the loans. I don't know this, so I'm going to sound so unintelligent about this fact. But they predominantly focused on people of color to give these, the loans. So that do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, because there was all the TARP programs back then and that kind of stuff.
Well, so there's still, history is history. History will stay history. History will repeat itself until we learn to do better, right? So there still are things throughout that continue to happen.
Yeah. Well, but it's changing, but like we're talking coming up here, the stuff going on in Chicago right now, I think that stuff sets us back. It's like we'll take a couple steps forward and then we're a couple steps back and a couple steps forward. And I don't
sorry, I have to bring this up because we're talking about that. Gucci, did you see what Gucci just did?
But like, I don't understand that.
I had a conversation with my boyfriend about it because my boyfriend is a man of color. And I said, we talked about this. The N-word it's still, to me, is the most horrific word ever used, right? Now, people of color took power over that word, right? They took that power away from the white man and made it something almost positive slang instead of negative, right? So they took that power away from them. Incredible, right? They made it so that word no longer had that power over them that it did back in the day.
Sure.
So what I said to him, I said, with this sweater, are they trying to make it okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, are they trying to? It's not at all. But I had to know from his standpoint, right? Because I'm Caucasian. So I don't have that deep-rooted, you know what I mean? That deep-rooted sense in me. And I said to him, do you think they're trying to make something positive out of it? Like, take away that stigma of what blackface was. He said, babe, no. Not with this. Not with this. It's so wrong.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, when I first saw it, I was like, this is fake.
It had
somebody has photoshopped a Gucci logo on this.
Yeah.
This is fake. And then you start hearing people talking about all the free press they're getting. You don't want bad press like that. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And these are people of high intellect doing these things. It's not like you can claim ignorance and then all of a sudden,
But the other thing that really drives me crazy about the blackface stuff, I don't know why to me it's ridiculous. I don't know why anybody would do it. But we've got one group of people that point out and condemn so much stuff folks do. But then you've got Fallon's not addressed his blackface crap. Kimmel's not addressed his. And they both did it, but it's okay because they're liberal Hollywood. I don't get it, Ted Danson did it and it was okay because he was Whoopi. Or maybe it was just the times were different. I don't know. I don't know why anybody would do it.
I don't either.
Like, it's funny. We, at Halloween, Ashlyn wanted to dress up as a zombie.
Yeah.
Zombie cheerleader.
Yeah.
And Vicky's got a couple minutes. She's trying to put makeup on her or whatever. This child looked like he took a black Sharpie and covered her face with it. And I'm like, you can't post pictures of this kid.
No.
Unfortunately, she didn't know, but like when we took a picture, especially when the sun was going down,
It was terrible.
it literally looked like just blackface.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, this is
That's
ridiculous.
not okay.
No, it's not.
Not at all.
But I mean, it wasn't because of that. I mean, we weren't trying to do it or whatever.
But listen, this is the thing. You were knowledgeable enough to know that maybe it could be construed as that, right?
Yeah, right.
And that's something, in today's society, we have to be that intelligent. We have to be that forward-thinking, right? In everything. We have to.
Yeah.
Come on. We don't want to set, like you said, we don't want to go backwards. We want to go forward.
But we can't whitewash history
No.
either.
Heck
Like this crap of tearing down statues and all that stuff, you should go to jail for that. If you're destroying public property, that's not okay. And to think that we can just go rip stuff down because you don't like it, there's a process.
Exactly.
Go through the process if you don't like it. And it's not people of color doing it.
Yeah.
It's these white millennial kids that are doing that kind of stuff. But
Martin Luther King would be so ashamed.
Well, yeah, exactly.
No, truly.
But I think for me, the problem is people don't communicate.
Yeah.
They can't sit down and have a conversation. And it's probably odd to see two white people talking about this stuff.
100%.
But like my buddy at work, he and I talk a lot, and we were talking about the term white privilege, and it drives me nuts. It used to drive me nuts.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
It used to drive me crazy. And the reason was how I associated it.
Yep.
I associated it with
do.
You own a business and are by society standards successful because you're white. And so we had a conversation about it. And he was explaining to me that his 14-year-old son is going to his white girlfriend's house. And he had to have a conversation with him of what he could and could not do in the neighborhood. And so then that got me thinking that when Ashlyn's coming home from the swimming pool here, she can run through all of our neighbors' backyards and there's no problems. But if a 14-year-old black kid come running through these yards, there could be an issue.
Yes.
And then I got it. I get the fact that when I go in CVS or Target or whatever, I'm not followed around the store. So then I understood it. But when I heard it originally, all I could think about is you got to where you are because of the color of your skin. So to me, it was taking away the fact that I worked my hind end off.
100%.
And it was just, you're here because of the color of your skin. And I'm like, I thought that's what we're not supposed to be doing is blaming stuff on the color of people's skin. But after having a conversation, I got it.
Yeah. Well, what's so crazy about that is you're not alone in that thinking, right? Because I actually, listen, being a tattoo artist, I have this amazing thing where I'm in a room with one person all day, right? I get to know their deepest, darkest secrets. I get to speak to them about things. I've brought up white privilege on numerous occasions, right? And the first thing is an attitude like you used to have, right? Because you hear the term white. White people aren't used to being labeled white. Let's put it right down to it. You're not used to be looking at it and say white man, right? So you have that first. And then you have privilege. And like you said, the second you hear privilege, you think, well, everything wasn't given to me in this world.
I go back to when I lived in the projects on food stamps and free lunch and everything else.
So you're immediately defensive, okay?
Right.
I've had numerous conversations. And you know what other result I get from it? Well, I'm not racist. White privilege, it has nothing to do with racism. And that's what people need to separate from it, right? There's white privilege, there's unbiased, God, why can't I think of the word? Unconscious biases, conscious biases, and there's racism and more hatred. There's all these things, but white privilege doesn't have to do with racism. White privilege has been brought through society, right? It has to do with as simple as we go to a convenience store, right? And it's the things are predominantly for Caucasians, right? You have a small section for people of color, right? Or throughout the history of the world, you've had, slavery was a real thing. Segregation was a real thing, okay? You had white males going to war and they were given, homes or money or whatever once they got out, right? So then that was passed down generation to generation, generation to generation. So you started with something where a lot of people of color started with nothing. Yeah. Do you understand? So there's so much deeper that I posted something on Facebook, and I really think that when you post this video, you should put it. And it says, what is white privilege really? And it is the most informative article, right? It is so informative. And I feel like so many people don't take the time to educate themselves.
Yeah, I will. Send it to me and I'll put a link in.
It's just so
stuff.
important. It really is so important that we, especially as Caucasians, that we realize and talk about it. Yeah. You know what I mean? That we don't take away from it. We talk about it.
Well, that's what it took. It took me having a conversation, but I could see where people would immediately bump heads, 100%. Not have a conversation, and it's just...
Because it happens all the time, right? You see it happen 24/7.
Yeah, it's and I don't want to say uber aware, but my daughter has really opened up my eyes because we spend so much time in volunteering and all that kind of stuff. So I pay attention to it now. And it's just, even like on social media, the divide, we were talking earlier about Kaepernick and all that stuff. And I don't think, for me personally, it has nothing to do with race. And when you start thinking about like the national anthem protests and stuff like that, Kaepernick's the only one I have any respect for.
It's so because much respect,
he sacrificed everything. Now, he's about to get paid, but he sacrificed everything for it. So I have to respect that. But we were talking earlier about the guy in, I want to say Denver, that's his business is going out of business because he's protesting Nike. He's got a shoe store, sporting goods store or whatever. And I read a post on Instagram and it's, he's a bigot, racist, good for him. To me, it's the same. He believes in something, right, wrong, or indifferent, and he's willing to sacrifice everything for it. To me, it's the exact same thing. I mean, who is some stranger to say this guy's a racist? Maybe, who knows? Maybe he fought in the wars. Maybe it just died.
Well, it's just like with Kaepernick, they said that he was like anti-America because he kneeled during the, know what I mean, the national anthem. That had nothing to do with it. It had to do with, everyone knows what it had to do with. Yeah. That's the most, sought after.
But here's my take on Kaepernick and the protests and all of them. And I've never heard anybody talk about it. You have the right to do that.
100%.
Absolutely. In my mind, what you don't have the right to do is affect someone else's livelihood that is not involved in this equation. And my point is, you kneel for the national anthem and ticket sales plummet. And now the lady working the concession stand loses her job because there's not enough business. And now you've taken somebody completely innocent from this and have affected their life negatively. And that's my take on that.
Oh, that's hard. I never even looked at it like that.
Yeah, it's because it's absolutely could happen. A parking it, just name the person that attendance is down and we don't need this stand open or we don't need this open. And that person loses their job or is laid off because of a protest. And she's paying the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah.
Kaepernick had plenty of money. Kaepernick's going to end up with plenty of money. But if this scenario plays out, they're paying the sacrifice. And they got none of the attention. It wasn't their fight, whatever. But, and even when it started, he was sitting on the bench and a veteran's the one that told him to take the knee.
Exactly. So to do it the respectful way. Listen, I have so much respect for people who peacefully protest things, though, because, like I said, Martin Luther King Jr., it's Black History Month right now, which everyone should know that. If they don't, I'm appalled and shocked by now. Seriously, come on, people. But honestly, to protest something for the greater cause of the people is such a beautiful thing, but it's hard to do it in an appropriate fashion, right? Like you said, it's affecting so many different people. Well, then how do you do it? And that's my question. Yeah. How is there a different way then to protest? How, right?
Yeah, and I don't know that answer.
I don't either. I have no idea. I wish I did, right? I don't,
But in that scenario, there's a level of privilege for a rich football player to do what he wants, and it's affecting someone else. Yeah. And that's never brought up or addressed. But,
You're right, because I've never heard that, actually. This is first. I'm actually shocked hearing it because I never have, connected that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the shoe guy, right? I think it's a little different because he owns the business.
Yeah.
Because you're going to make decisions owning a business that affect your employees anyways. But think about it. If he's had somebody that's worked there the whole 20 years and now they're just out of a job because he's protesting, I'm not saying that's right either. But both of those guys were willing to give up everything. And then, and again, I'm not a fan of, I think there's a better way to protest. I don't know what that is, but I'm not a fan of it. But you have that right and I support that and that's fine. But the commercial, that wasn't a Kaepernick commercial. That was the most positive thing.
That commercial was incredible.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Beautiful.
But like, it wasn't, and that
No.
got all this, it was Kaepernick. It wasn't.
It was not. Watch
No.
the commercial.
Yeah.
Front to back to front. No,
Yeah.
it was so many things.
But it's so, I mean, you think about it. Race is polarizing. Politics is polarizing. There's a story out today that somebody working at a van store got fired for screaming F you to some kid wearing a Make America Great Again hat. I don't.
Poor world.
Yeah, I don't get it. Did you see the video where the guy went into the vape store in Georgia and he's wearing a Trump shirt and a Make America Great hat again? And there's this guy behind the counter that loses his mind.
Really?
Screaming, yelling. And there's a black guy standing here. And so the guy behind the counter is trying to bring this guy into it. And he's like, ain't got nothing to do with this. This is about money. It ain't got nothing to do with me. This guy loses his mind. And so then, and the guy videoing is like, sell me what I'm looking for, and you don't ruin your life. Sell me what I need. I'll leave, and I won't post this video. Dude, he posts that video, and now the business is getting destroyed with 1-star reviews. And
well, because why? Listen, if it's not affecting you, if it's not affecting the greater, like that's just a sweatshirt. They're not making slanderous remarks. They're not doing anything. So why would you react like that, right? Think about the way you're reacting to a situation.
I'll tell you why I think he's reacting like that. I think that's the way he's reacted as a child to get his way.
Yeah.
And so he thinks he's going to continue that as an adult and scream and throw temper tantrums and get his way again. And it's crazy. But it's so polarizing. It's either you're on board or you're not. And you're either left or right.
Yeah.
And
there's no in between.
But all we talk about is the extremes.
Yes.
We never talk about the middle where everybody else is that matters.
Yeah.
You know, it's so bizarre to me. And, you know, it's changed my life. Volunteering, you know, like.
Because you see so many spectrums of the world, right?
So, like, every year I'll take some of these kids out Christmas shopping.
Yeah.
They're doing whatever. And Vicky will go shopping with a girl or the girls, and I'll take the boys. And I ask, what do you need and what do you want? The first thing they say, the boys.
Yeah.
Every single time. Jordans.
Of course.
But I get it.
Yeah. No, come on.
It's a status symbol. You've never had them. You're getting made fun of for not. I understand completely. But like, it was such a big deal for one young man. He was willing to buy shoes that wouldn't fit him.
Because he wanted them.
And I'm like, there's a whole wall, man. We'll find a pair that fits. We'll do all that kind of stuff. And then the last child I took, we went and got shoes. And then I was buying him clothes. And I was like, let's go find you some jeans or whatever. Yeah. Like, he had never been through that process. He's like, nobody's ever done this for me. I don't know what to do. So we get somebody to help us, and we're finding jeans and sizes and sweaters and all that kind of stuff. Then we sat down, we're having a conversation, and we're talking about his mom and his brother and the struggles they have, like with no car, they're walking everywhere, you know, that kind of stuff. And I enjoy learning about other people. You know, I hate that they're in those situations, especially the kids.
Oh, for sure.
Because the kids had nothing to do with the decision making of their parents or whatever. They're not the reason they're in that situation. It's somebody else. But it's completely changed my life.
Well, and look at the kindness you're able to give. Look at the way you're able to transform these people's lives every day, truly. And you may not see it. Well, I don't know if you do, but you should.
But I mean, I kindness is a big thing for me. Being selfless is a big thing. I don't understand why anybody would want to be any different.
Doesn't it? No, I think about this every day with everything I do, right? Because especially, like I said, being a tattoo artist, I am with one person all day, maybe a couple a day. It like could make me cry how much we change people's lives, right? Because of how open, how kind, how loving. Listen, some people don't get that ever in their lives. Ever. How, as a human being, are other human beings not loving, not kind, not respectful? Where have we missed the mark that everyone doesn't have that to give? Because it's in all of us.
Because we turned selfish somewhere.
100%.
That's what happened, is we got selfish somewhere along the way. It's like I look back at my grandmother, who I thought could walk on water, right? This woman was a saint. Anytime you come over, she's trying to feed everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and that's what I miss.
Yes.
Like I miss going to grandma's house and having dinner and that kind of stuff. But I think somewhere along the way, we started getting selfish and, you know, it's all about us. And I pick on social media all the time. It comes up about on every one of these podcasts, but even like these social, like Instagram.
Yeah.
It has to be so difficult for a woman to see these unrealistic beauty ideals that are unachievable, you know, and I think it's good for like the Ashley Grahams of the world that are putting stuff out and these undoctored photos and stuff. But so many of these girls, and to me, it seems so shallow.
Well, and it's affecting especially the younger generations, right? And that's so hard for me because growing up with like eating disorders and body image issues, I see that and I see that for these younger kids and it literally breaks my heart because this is all fake. Yeah. This isn't reality, but they see it as reality, right?
100% fake.
100%, but they see these perfect women, right? Yeah. They see these beautiful ideals and that's what they feel like they have to emulate.
Yeah.
And look you wonder why we have depression. You wonder why we have eating disorders. You wonder why we have body dysmorphia.
But why? Why do you need to look like Rihanna?
Rihanna. And she's as real as it gets, honey.
To have self-worth.
Yeah.
I mean, really, why do you have to look like a supermodel to feel like you need self-worth?
Because society, what we have been shown throughout the years, right?
I see it, you know, where I love business, love being an entrepreneur and that kind of. So I follow a bunch of business entrepreneurial stuff, and I shared a post today about it. There's so millionaire mindset, millionaire this, millionaire blah blah blah. It's all. Stop telling these kids they've got to be millionaires
to be happy,
to matter, and to be happy, and to have self-worth. $1 million is a boatload of money. It doesn't come easy. But so when all these kids are being inundated with millionaire, and then they go to get a job that's making $35,000 a year at entry level position, it's not worth my time. I've got to be a millionaire to make it make any sense. And I was like, you don't. Go be happy.
Yep.
Most important thing is go be happy. And fortunately, somebody, Gary Vaynerchuk, who does a lot of motivational stuff, a lot of business stuff, got a big media company. He's put out a post recently or a video about changing millionaire to happiness. And I'm like, I have been preaching this forever. It's because that's what's most important. You know, I wrote a blog recently about everybody's got to work. We've all got bills, but there needs to be a component of happiness. So do whatever you're going to do to pay your bills and to be happy. And the two, I don't necessarily think go hand in hand. I was reading something today where somebody's talking about, you know, money don't buy happiness. The guy's like, oh yeah, well, I need trips and I need fast cars and I need all this stuff to be happy. And I'm like, you don't. No. Then you don't know what happiness is. If you need fast cars to be happy, you enjoy fast cars. They don't make you happy. Materialistic stuff does not make you happy.
Look at Akon. Akon actually, I don't know if you ever saw this interview with him, but the interviewer asked him, what happened to all your fancy jewelry, all your fancy things? And he goes, this is the only fancy thing I have. And it was a Rolex because it was a gift. He goes, you know what I realized over time? That doesn't make me happy. Yeah. All it is something for other people to look at, for me to show my status. Here I am now in Africa giving, how much money has he donated? How much water has he given? He's genuinely happy because he's given back to people, right? It's great to be able to give yourself things. I'm not negating that at all. I'm not negating that, you know, like you said, you have to make a living, you have to make money, you have to pay for these things. But happiness and giving to others and making this world a better place should be the core of it. Yeah. Should be the core. And we aren't teaching that to these kids.
And what I shared today when I started having that conversation online is it should really be your why. You didn't become a tattoo artist for money.
Not even. I say it every day to people. Every day to people.
Right. You did it because you love art and there's money will come with it. But if you do it for money and you're first starting out and you don't have a book of business and the money's hard to come by, you'll just quit. Exactly. That's what I tell people about when I go speak at schools, doing podcasting or whatever, is if I was doing it for money, I would have already quit because
100%.
there's zero money and it's a ton of work.
Yeah.
And so it's not about money. The why is because I want to help other people and bring resources to other people. And if that never changes, then it doesn't matter. As long as I'm paying my bills, it doesn't matter if there's money involved or not.
Yeah.
If you can get to where you can make some money and have a bigger effect on people, then that's better too.
Mm-hmm.
But your why cannot be from money. It cannot be from money.
It can't be the end goal ever.
No.
Listen, I always say to people with tattooing, right? Because tattooing is a lucrative career. We won't make any bones about it. Tattooing is. But it doesn't come without extreme work, right? It is day and day. I mean, before I got here, I've been drawing all day, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not getting paid for that.
Right. Well, and that's right? What I was about to bring up is when Jessie did my back, she probably had 40 hours in the artwork.
In the artwork. And how much did she charge you? Probably like 100, if that, for 40 hours. No,
I don't know.
She might have charged you nothing.
She didn't charge me a dime for the artwork. She charged her hourly rate for doing the tattoo or whatever, which is why I've always told her rate's not high enough. But she just, that was part of it. But people don't see the back end of it. You know, I've heard people make comments about, I'm not tipping a tattoo artist. They're already getting paid or whatever.
People don't see the hidden work in it, right? Not to shift gears, but there's a lot of work that goes into this. My boyfriend laughs every night because I sit on the couch and have my iPad while we're watching TV. I don't see anything that's on the TV because I'm constantly drawing, right? Yeah. These are hours spent at home that other people don't see. These are me dealing with clients, getting their artwork ready, them wanting a change. You know what I mean? All these hours that go into it. And luckily, like you and I just said, I'm not in it for the money. So at the end of the day, I know that what I'm doing is so much greater than getting paid, right? Because at the end of the day, what I'm doing is I'm creating a piece of artwork for this person, and this piece of artwork for that person makes them so happy. It's mind blowing. I had a guy I just did a butterfly on his chest, right? And okay, so
I think you did color work.
I did color work. Whoa! But I had already done a butterfly on his wife, right? And she was so happy, which makes me, that's my tip, right? Yeah. He comes back and he brings a tip for me because he was so overwhelmed with her joy. And then he books with me, right? So I do his tattoo and he gives me a tip. And I'm like, you guys, like, I really am not for the tips, right? If you give it, that's amazing. Like, you are so kind, but I don't look for it, right? I'm never looking for that. So he messages me after already giving me a tip, after already praising and saying thank you, leaving review on the site. He messaged me again and he goes, where do you and your boyfriend like to eat? I knew what he was trying to do, and I said, we really don't go out to eat, you know, but he goes, no, I need to do something else for you. I need to do something for you. And I said, listen to me. Do you see what you're doing right now? You see this thanks and all these messages you've sent me? That is what you need to do for me. I said that changed my life as much as it changed your life.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, when I met Jessie and she started doing my stuff, years ago. Yeah. I mean, it's like therapy for me. I love going because I get to spend 6, 7, 8 hours, and it's like therapy. Yeah, and we just talk the whole time. Yes, you know. So I've enjoyed it. We've spent a lot of time together. I've learned a lot, but my appreciation for art, I appreciate it so much. I do not have an artistic bone in my body, and I want to so bad, but I don't have it at all. But I appreciate it so much.
Because it's amazing. I mean, you have such an intellect with your words, though. Like, this is your connection, right? Our connection is through art and that beauty. Yours is through this.
Yeah. But like I was watching, and I know I've tagged you in the video with that kid. I don't know where, some third world country.
The portraits?
Oh, my gosh.
Insane, right?
Yeah. Incredible. I mean, like, he's, I don't know, in some dirt room, barefooted, making amazing portraits out, I don't know, charcoal or something. I mean, it was unreal. And I'm like, that's just inherent in that child. Yeah. I mean, it's just, that's where it comes from. It's so bizarre to me because for me, it's so difficult. Yeah. Like, I can't see, I can't draw, I can't do anything. I can see kind of what I want, but so that's why whenever I go to Jessie, I'm like, here's the idea.
Run with it.
I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Just put it on me. I'm good. Yeah. That's what I do with
You
her.
just trust her.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Just do it and we'll go.
Well, because she has that innate art ability, right? And she's nurtured it.
Yeah.
She's
Well, and we
nurtured
spend
it
enough
through the
time
years.
together that she knows me well enough to know what it is. But I can't believe how good you are. Like,
you're so nice.
just, I mean, what? I mean, you're 7-8 months into it's unbelievable. Like I look at a lot of, as you do too, I'm sure. I look at a lot of stuff on Instagram, people that's been doing it for years. And I'm like, I don't get it. But to me, that's because they're not artists.
And artists is a different. I'm so hypercritical on myself. So I appreciate compliments, but I'm not even close to where I want to be. So it's like, right, as an artist, I think that's a difference. Yeah. As an artist, you see things so differently, right? So everyone says, you're so good. You're so good. You've only been doing this for how long? And I'm like, I have so much to learn, though. I have so far to go. But that's the beauty in it, right? Yeah. Because I already am where I'm at, and I'm going to continuously grow and be better.
Well, and you create your own style.
Yeah.
And then at some point, somebody will come up and say, Jen, I need a portrait. And then you'll panic.
I know someone asked the other day, and I'm like... It's so crazy, though, because I can do them on paper, but it's that fear. We let fear control us.
Yeah, it's forever on somebody. Like, I was nervous when I had my portrait, the first one that Jessie did for me. Yes. I was nervous. As good as she was, I was nervous because all it takes is one little something, one little anything, one little shadow out of whatever, and it's just not the same person.
Well, and that's the scariest thing, too, because you have... some people come to you and they want these elaborate things, but they don't want to take the time to actually get them, right? They don't want to spend the amount of money that it takes or what it may be. And for me, I won't sacrifice my work for downgrading what I do, because here's the thing, which people don't know about. I don't know if it's all tattoo artists. I don't know if it's me, my sister, the crazy ones, but I obsess over every tattoo I do. I mean, to the point that it makes me sick. If there's something that the tattoo's beautiful, but oh my God, I could have added this one little thing, I obsess.
So you want to Bob Ross it, just bring it back in and put a happy little tree in here.
And they would know no different because it's beautiful. Like, it's not like I've done anything wrong.
It's beyond their expectations anyways.
But then I obsess that, oh my God, I can take it to this next level. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's that, like, ever growing. Tattooing it's an incredible career. It's so challenging. Every day is a new challenge. Every day is a new challenging. The reward of it isn't even the tattoo at the end. It's the people. It's like you, like how you feel about Jessie, how people feel about me after doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's unreal. So I know I'm jumping all over the place. So go back to when you started. The story about when you started not tattooing, but just art, that you couldn't get it. And then.
So I was never an artist. Let's put that out there. I've always been like extremely creative. I loved clothes. I loved making things, right? I was a really hands-on person. I mean, I'll go back to beginning. We were really poor growing up. We shopped at Bradley's, which I'm sure no one even knows, but it was like the low of the low, right? So all white. They were like Ked style shoes. Everyone had Adidas. So my first creative moment was drawing three stripes on my shoes. This is real life.
On your fake Keds.
100%. So that I had Adidas. Okay, so it started at an early age because I wanted things that I couldn't have. So I started drawing on things and creating things, right? But I was never an artist. My sister was the artist. She could draw phenomenally. So watching her, I never wanted that pressure, right? I never wanted the pressure of my sister's so good and I'm not going to be as good as her, so let's not try. So college comes, I'm real lost. I partied all through high school. I got into really bad stuff, rough on myself, did things that I shouldn't have, got myself into trouble. So I wasn't really focused on school, right? So I go into college because mom forced me into college. So I go for my first year undeclared. Didn't do the greatest, right? I'm extremely intelligent, but I didn't care, right? So I was one of those lost kids, kind of, I thought I wanted to do hair in high school. I did that. Didn't finish my hours because I was too lazy. So I'm one of those kids, right? I'm one of the kids that you see a lot nowadays. That's why I always say, just wait. Let them find their path, right? Or let them find that person. Because my thing was in college, didn't know what I was doing. So my second semester comes, I'm miserable. And I go to Jessie and I'm like, I'm miserable. Like, I don't want to be in college. I'm not doing this anymore. She goes, please switch to art. Please just switch to art, because she saw something in me that I didn't see, right? She saw this creative nature in me that I never knew. So I said, you know what? Let's do it, right? So I switched to art, and my first art class, we had to draw pears. So terrible. I mean, I wish I had it to show you guys. Terrible. I don't even know what it looked like, but it definitely wasn't a pear. Maybe an apple with a stem. Like, I don't know. So I go home, and we have to draw one at home, and I just start sobbing. I'm hysterically crying that I couldn't draw a pear. So I called my sister, and she said, just come over. Let me teach you how to see. And I'm like, how can you teach me how to see? Come on, that's irate. So I go there, and she does. She shows me shape. She shows me a way that my brain could connect how to see things, right? And I swear to God, it's like all of a sudden I drew a pear. So I go back to school the next day, and I'm drawing, and the teacher goes, how'd you learn how to draw overnight?
Overnight.
Literally. Yeah. Like, it wasn't real. Like, I was faking it. So that's where my love for art came. And every year I just got better and better, you know, and it came with struggles and hardships and me not knowing if I was good enough. But every year I just got better and better and better and better. And I worked my butt off at it. And it allotted me the opportunity to, I didn't tattoo right away. I moved to Raleigh, North Carolina, and I became a visual manager. And I always say to kids, you know, there's a lot of people out there that say, don't go into the arts. You're going to be a starving artist. They still say it, right?
Yeah.
I only got the job as a visual manager because I had an art degree.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I tell kids all the time, that I call them alternative careers.
That should be promoted way more than they are to many
Not
people.
everybody's going to go to a 4-year school.
Nope.
Not everybody's going to do that. There's plenty of stuff out there for other people, you know, whatever it is. But it takes a lot of hard work. Nothing's easy. And I think that's the challenge with, again, back to social media and YouTube and all that, is we see all these YouTube celebrities and watches and cars and money and houses, and they don't see all the work that goes into it. Like this is easy. Like the editing, it's time consuming, but it's easy. But for people that are putting out content every day, and they're trying to come up with some story and script and different camera shots, and that has to be unbelievably difficult to do day in and day out. And so then that kind of goes back to the why. If you're trying to get into YouTube for money, there's too much work involved, because the money's going to take forever to show up.
Yep.
And so you'll just quit. But if it's because you want to get better at your craft or your art, and you want to learn how to edit video and how to put music behind it and scores and all that, now you're learning, you're creating an online resume. If that's the why, is I want to go make movies, you can create this and find somebody to partner with or whatever, then it's a lot easier to stick around.
Yeah. You have to be a go-getter.
Yeah.
You have to be a go-getter. I think we aren't teaching that enough to younger generations coming up, right? Everything's so easy for them because they have a cell phone. They have things given to them all the time. Like, people don't see all the work that goes into these alternative careers, right? You have to teach yourself, and people have to teach other people how to work hard. Listen, if I didn't have my sister in my ear for so many years, it probably would have been harder for me to be the person I am, right? Because she pushed me every day. I mean, she's a bad yes. She's insane, right? Go-getter, nonstop, pushes herself. And she instilled that in me. Now, my brain gets the best of me some days, right? It gets lazy, or it gets, I can't do this. And you have to talk yourself out of it. And you have to remember the end goal. Like, this is what my happiness is. Keep pushing. And I think that a lot of people lack that, and they don't know how to achieve that. Yeah.
Well, even like when Jesse, we didn't even talk about when she decided that she was going to go compete.
Yes.
and so she's doing art at night.
Yeah.
She's working all the time. She's working out. She's dieting. Like, I remember when she was doing that, we invited her and your mom and dad to go out on the boat with us. And they're like, we would love to, but I'm on a super strict diet and I can't have any distractions. And I get it. And I appreciate the amount, because it's easy, you know, to just, let's go get drinks. Let's go do whatever and get sidetracked because you don't want to be that guy, right? That's not doing it. But even like that commitment for her to go through that and come out the other end. It's like, okay, I achieved that. Now it's time to get back to normal life. And, then it was, we'll go start a business, but I got to get my sister to come help me. I don't know. Cause when she was going through that, she was doing my back piece. Cause I think I was her last client in Conway.
Were you?
Yeah. I think literally the day she finished my back was her last appointment. And so we talked, 100 hours or not 100 there. It was probably 40 hours. And it was, I got to get my sister. I was like, just tell her to come. She's in Raleigh. She's working for whoever. I was like, she just got to do it. Just make her do it. So I'd come in. I was like, what's going on with Jen? I mean, this was months before I ever mentioned, what's going on with Jen? I don't know. We're talking.
It's so funny because how many people tell me that? How many people, Jess tells me now how many people asked when I was going to tattoo, when I was coming, when I was doing all this. My thing was this, I think because, my teenage years were so jumbled, right? I was into partying. I was into these bad paths, right? So as I got older, when I finally found my way, right? I finally found who I wasn't going to go into the family business because I felt like it was handed to me. Right. Now, knowing how much work goes into tattooing, not even close to handed to me, right? Bit. But I had to prove myself, right? So I went away and I worked my butt off as a visual manager. And I was going to be the best of the best if I could, right? So I worked so hard to get there, but lacked happiness. I loved the career. I loved merchandising. I have a hanger tattooed on me because I loved it, right?
Right.
But the hierarchy in it and everything that went around the actual moving up through the company, it made me miserable. It was so much drama and all these things. So I was dealing with this battle internally. You know what I mean? Do I give up something I've worked so hard at, even though I'm not happy, or do I stay because I've made such a name for myself? Right. And finally, I just decided, what am I going to do if my sister has a successful business and I'm not the one who helped her? Seriously, I'm not the one that did this. Like, she's going to have all these memories with someone else and it's not going to be me. And I immediately said, I'm changing my whole life, like changed everything, left everything I knew from college to adulthood and just did it.
That's what I'm going through right now.
Exactly.
Right now.
Terrifying, right? But beautiful.
So it's not terrifying for me.
Okay.
It's terrifying for Vicky.
Is it?
Yeah, because of the security.
Yeah.
She doesn't see, because there's zero money coming in from speaking at schools or anything like that. And so for her, it's, you can't do something until you start charging people. And I'm like, well, you can't start charging people until you're ready and until there's a following. So we've got to do it. Fortunately, I've got enough money to survive for a few years. And she's like, when do you have to start charging people? I was like, just before we run out of money. And she's like, you should have never told me that. But that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Because
I have started over so many times in my life.
Yes.
Starting over doesn't scare me. Now that I've got a daughter, I like the comfort of what we've got now, and it's fine. And it's not that I'm not happy, but this is next level happiness kind of stuff for
fulfilling.
Me. Yeah. And so we've been talking about how to do it. And, I'm close to making a decision on buying having built or buying a motorhome to
so cool.
to do mobile podcasts.
Amazing.
To go find people in Charlotte that have amazing stories and just go sit down with them for 2 hours and talk. And then hopefully that turns into you get a school speaking gig in Atlanta. You take that whole thing to Atlanta and you use social and you try to find people. Like, I want a homeless guy. I want a recovered drug addict. I want all those people to tell their stories.
And you'll find it. That's the coolest thing. People always think that people aren't going to tell their stories. But so many people want to tell their stories. They just don't have that outlet. They've never been asked. They've never been spoken to, right?
Well, so the other thing, though, that I've learned while I'm learning this business and doing research and that kind of stuff is everybody wants celebrities. Celebrities, they're not going to tell you some people will.
Yeah.
But most celebrities aren't going to come out and talk about how, they spent $10,000 a month snorting cocaine
exactly.
and whatever, So that's why I would rather just find normal people that either have made bad decisions and people can learn from that, or were in a bad spot. Now they're just stories that we all have.
Yeah.
And I think there's some validity to that, but it's extremely scary to start thinking about all the money you would spend every month with zero coming in. So you got to build that base. So it's kind of chicken or egg.
Mm-hmm.
Do you make the jump before you have the base, or do you take the time to build a base and then make the jump? I don't know the answer to that
safety
yet.
versus It's like you have to have that fear of the unknown, right, in order for things to take off.
Yeah.
But you also have to, at the age you're at, with a child, with a wife, you also have to think in a safety net zone, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at right now. But the other thing is, like, in this kind of arena, it takes one person to change your life.
100%.
Whenever I was telling a story at Sauk City High School, and I get a letter, and Jesse sent me letters, but like I got a letter from a young lady, and she's like, "You don't know the impact or how you changed my life." And I'm like, I don't deserve that. All I did was ask one person one question. But literally in this realm, it takes one person to share a video and change the trajectory forever. But see, like, so where I'm at now is we don't have enough following to get people that have a following to come do it, because there's no value for them. So the only value is the people that I'm getting see what I'm trying to accomplish. Right. So that's why you'll take a couple hours tonight and come over and do this, because you see what we're trying to do. 100%. There's no value. I mean, 300 people are going to watch the video to start with or whatever, and that'll be it. But years down the road, who knows where it is, or the stories you see. You know, I was talking to a guy the other night. You talking about your eating disorder as a young lady. Had a guy maybe a week ago, was 600 pounds, lost 350 pounds.
Yeah.
He used to go to Subway every night, 6 o'clock, and order 6 footlongs. He would eat them by 6 o'clock the next morning.
Wow.
He went to Narcotics Anonymous meetings because of his food addiction. He would go to McDonald's and buy 10 double cheeseburgers and eat them while watching a single movie. Those are the stories that come out. And I mean, he's getting emotional about his daughter. They had lost a cat, and his daughter, they were having a moment, and his daughter starts crying and said, "Daddy, will you take me to Steak and Shake so I can get a milkshake and chicken fingers?"
Emotional eating.
And they had just eaten. And he's like, that's when it hit me. He says he's in the drive-thru at Steak and Shake crying, ordering the food. And he asked his daughter why she wanted it. She said, because it makes me happy.
Oh, that makes me, that hits a part in me that I understand completely.
But that's the kind of stuff that comes out when you're just talking to normal people. You know, they'll share those things. And, you know, the Drew who did the food truck was talking about, he was the 9th child born unplanned in Honduras, was supposed to be thrown in a river and drowned.
Gosh.
And now he's a 37, 38-year-old that's helping create laws and stuff for food trucks in the city of Myrtle Beach. He was supposed to have been murdered the day he was born, and somehow it's unreal. I'm having a ton of fun doing it, but it gets challenging finding people to do it. So that's why that's where the mobile idea came from. Was I met a band last year. I saw them again this week at an event, and they're like, "We'll do it." But they're in Winston-Salem, and they're not going to drive to Myrtle Beach.
All the way here.
So I could go to Winston-Salem tomorrow, and they would do it. I could go to Charlotte tomorrow, and I've got a buddy there that would tell his story. So that's kind of where the idea came from for a mobile studio. Then I think it's easier to get some level of influencer to do it. Is, you know, if you've got someone wherever in Atlanta that has a large enough following that's willing to give you a couple hours, you can go to Atlanta and get them to do it, because they're not going to come to Myrtle Beach.
They won't travel here.
There's nothing for them. Or I could pay them to come.
Yep.
But you could pay them to come, pay, you know, enough people to come, and now you could have just built the mobile. And
how long ago did you technically start this, though? This is fairly
new,
right? Okay, so
like a month ago.
What you've already done, you know, I haven't gotten to watch all your videos, but I see you posting them, and I see how many people you've already gotten, right? Yeah. That's a big following already.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. Right. So I was talking to somebody. I know the process, and I know there's a process to everything. You can't skip I tell people all the time, you cannot skip the process. When Jessie wanted to go compete in her bodybuilding stuff, there's a process. You can't skip it,
100%.
right? So I know the process to this, and it was, again, you've got to get an audience. And the process to that is exactly what we're doing now. It's slow, and we'll post this video, you'll share it, some of your friends will share it, and we'll slowly get an audience. You start interacting with people on Instagram and Twitter and all that, and that'll slowly grow or whatever. I know the process, but it's extremely frustrating because it's not growing fast enough
for your mental.
But again, if you were doing it for money, I'd have already quit. I'd have put all this stuff on eBay because it's a ton of work. Because we'll talk for 2 hours. The video editing takes at least 2 hours. The upload will take another hour. I mean, there's a lot of time invested in it, and it's too much work. Like I had 2 of them yesterday.
Yeah, gosh.
You tonight. I've got one tomorrow, one Wednesday. Should have at least one more this week. So
that's incredible.
Oh no, it's
but it's a lot of work.
It is, because you got to keep the funnel filled up. It's just like any other thing, right? You got to keep the funnel filled up with people coming in. So that's the plan, is to go try to find and people that are doing amazing things. There's a lady out of Charlotte that started a nonprofit called Hungry Heroes, and she's feeding public law enforcement and that kind of stuff. This thing's blown up. So I just shot her a message today, said, hey, thinking about doing this, would love to have you on. If she says yes, then go to Charlotte, spend a day there, go see my other friend in Charlotte, have him do it and get some content and just keep sharing. It'll grow. Yeah. But I'm trying to bypass the years
growing,
of growing. Like I've considered, I'm like, what if you just paid micro $50,000 to come do it? I can't comprehend spending that kind of money to talk to somebody, but there's value to it, which is why they're influencers. So if you spent that kind of money, but you could go build a studio for that. Yeah. And now you've still got it.
But don't you want that story? Don't you want that? I came up through word of mouth. I came up from the bottom. And for me, that's so important.
What I want,
that journey.
What I want is more people to see this video. Yeah. And the sooner we get to whatever it is, the sooner more people will see it. And that's the thing. The other thing is, if you've got a big enough following, it's easier to get people.
100%. I do agree with you
because there's some upside for them. Like there's a comedian that's coming to Comedy Cabana in, I don't know, March sometime. Yeah. So I reached out to his people. Hey, this is what I'm doing. Alternative careers, comedian. I'd love to have a comedian. Is there any way we could work something out? I might be able to pay. I don't want to pay a lot, but and we appreciate the opportunity, but he's working with somebody. And look, I get that too, and I appreciate it. But if you could get somebody to agree to do it with a higher following, you do it, you spend a couple hours, you upload it, they share it, and then overnight you literally could have a following that makes enough sense to where other people with similar followings could do it. Like I've got a guy in Alabama that said he'll do it. He's got 500,000 YouTube subscribers.
Oh, wow.
But I got to go to Alabama. So, I mean, we're just at that point to where it either needs to be, it can't be a hobby.
Yes. You want it to be something greater. You no longer,
Because I can't take a motorhome to Alabama and back in a weekend. So now you got to take off work, and it's not, so we're just at that crossroads to figure out how we're going to do it. Look, we can grow it organically and keep inviting people in. And look, I can pack this stuff up and go to Charlotte and get a hotel or whatever, conference room. I mean, there's ways to do it, but it's frustrating. It's fun. It's a ton of fun, but it's frustrating.
Well, because you have that, you want more. Look, it's same with tattooing. It's like I battle with this. I need more. I need a bigger following. I need people to recognize me. I need people to recognize my stuff. Just because I know how much of an influence I have on people when tattooing them, right? I know how incredible it is to sit with these people in their room and for this art to succeed through all these different people, right? So I get it 100%. And you want it to happen like this. Not saying you're not putting in the work for it to happen like this, because you are. But that's just not how things happen.
That's not the process. The process is it takes time.
Yes.
So every day I spend time trying to reach out to people on Twitter, putting posts on Twitter, posts on Instagram, uploading videos, cold emailing people that says, hey, you do a collaborative? Are you interested in collaborative? I'll come to you. This is what I'm doing. I've emailed people before and I'm like, look, there's absolutely nothing in it for you.
But you're right.
Because there's not. Because I'd rather just be open as before they go click and say, this idiot's got 60 subscribers. I would much rather just be like, look, there's nothing in it for you. This is why I'm doing it. This is what I'm trying to do.
But look it takes that one hit. It takes that one time you're doing all this stuff. There could be that one time where someone, right?
It will.
It's truly, you have to constantly be pumping that out. You have to constantly be putting the work.
But that's the process. But I'm like that with everything.
Yeah.
Like I would rather just pay to skip that's why I don't play golf. It's because I'm an idiot and I would think a $2,000 driver would make me be
better.
Yeah.
Nicer things.
I've never played golf before, but that's what I would do is I'd go out and buy a damn $2,000 driver.
Listen, this is hilarious, but I get it because when I started tattooing, everyone knows how good my sister is, right? She's been in the game for 8 years. I've been in it for
8 months.
7-8 months. But I said to her, you're so good at tattooing. I need to at least have the nice things to show off for people to see that I have something going for me, right? And that was real. Like, that's so sick of me to think that way. But, right, the nicest equipment, the nicest furniture, all these things, right? To up myself to think that it's going to make me better.
We could literally do this with a cell phone.
Literally.
And I've spent God knows how many thousands of dollars on equipment that we don't need to be doing this. But I want it to be right. I want it to be perfect. And so I just do it. Unfortunately, I've got the means to do it right now. But it's really been a lot of fun. I got a question for you. In some pictures I see in your house, and there's a biggie picture.
Yeah.
Did you do that?
No, I wish. This is actually cute because when me and Robbie started dating, his house was very outdated and, decor.
He's a guy.
Exactly. I never judged him. Listen, never judged it. Everyone get that straight. Never judged him. He was still very nice. Like he's always kept up. But when he started dating me, I rubbed off on him a little and he started to get interested in artists and interested in kind of showing who he was through his things, right? Because I am who I am through and through. Right. Like I have on a pink fur coat, right? Like, I'm just me, I don't apologize for it because I think that's beautiful. I think it's beautiful. Like people can be themselves. And I think from me being in his life, he started to feel the same, right? That he could, I can showcase myself through the things that surround me. Like I can love the things around me because it was like generic pictures, right? Like you'd see in a hotel room. So he bought the Biggie and Tupac, and then he bought who did he buy? Martin Luther King. He has Muhammad Ali. You know what I mean? Like some of the greats, but artistic paintings. And I'm like, babe, I'm so impressed by you.
I want an Ali and an MLK tattoo.
I think that I have my Keep Moving, MLK.
Yeah.
Everyone asked me, what does that mean? Yeah. I said, here's the YouTube video. Just watch the speech. Yeah. I don't even want to get into it because I want them to educate themselves at the same time.
When you bring it up, we're going back to where we started. I could remember watching Selma for the first time. And when they're walking over that bridge to get their teeth kicked in, and they knew what they were walking into, and they were willing to walk in again the next day and again the next day. Literally, I was downstairs weeping.
Hysterical.
Watching this movie because it's hard for me to realize that we were there at one point. Like, I can't comprehend that.
Me and Robbie talk about it so much because for me, it's still hard to grasp. Now, we watch movies nonstop, documentaries nonstop. I date a black man, so I educate myself highly because I feel like that's important, right? I feel like it's important to know what these generations went through. Because think of it this way. I just learned this last night. We actually watched, I'd never seen the Malcolm X movie, which was crazy to me that I'd never seen it. So we watched it last night, and in part of it, they're talking about how the reason he changed his last name was because basically people of color who were born and raised through the generations, right, in America, their last names were given to them by their slave owners. So basically, and I never connected that, which is so crazy to me because I really do try to educate myself as much as possible because it's important to me, right? It's always been important to me, even more so now that I date a man of color and have dated in the past. So I feel like I have no part in me that can be ignorant to anything, even though I may not live through it, right? I live vicariously and I can walk amongst his shoes, right? In a way. So that was really like eye-opening to me, and that made me cry. Because God, like, are you kidding me? Like, even your identity was taken from you. It's the fact that it may not bring some people to tears also blows my mind. Because like you said, how do you not cry? How do you not feel that? How do you not see that and be overcome with emotion?
I don't know, but even like Hidden Figures, watching that movie, and I'm like, I think about the battles that these people fought to just work and to prove themselves and like I mean, you go back to Hidden Figures and you're looking at it, and in the movie they're redacting everything. Like here, I mean, you walk in, you're trying to put a man on the moon. You're all on the same team, and then the next day there's a separate coffee pot.
Yep.
You know, I'm like, I don't.
It doesn't make sense.
No,
it'll never make sense, right? It'll never make sense.
It doesn't. But even like if you watch like 42, the Jackie Robinson story and that kind of stuff, like. I think about the sacrifices the first made, right? The first ball player, the MLKs. I think about those first, and the crap they put up with,
putting their life on the line, literally.
Yeah, yeah. So for generations after them, which is why I get upset about statues getting ripped down and all that kind of stuff. And I would feel the same way if it was an MLK statue. I mean, it's just we can't whitewash history.
We have to be better. We have to see what people in history did to better America, right? To bring us all together. And we need to continue that, right? We don't need to backtrack. We don't need to go back there. But we also, like you said, you can't negate history. Yeah. You have to constantly look at what has happened through our generations. Yeah. Because things are still happening today. We also can't negate that fact, right? I feel like it's easier for people to be ignorant about it and not talk about it, right? Especially when it comes to racism or dealing with things of color or white privilege. It's easy for white people not to talk about it.
Yeah.
Seriously, it is because we don't have to deal with it on, like, when it comes to, look at the we were just talking about it, the loud music case, right? If it is a group of white boys, and I hate to say this, but let's get real for a second. It's a group of white boys in a car listening to hip hop music, and a white man pulls up and he hears the music, right? And the white boy in the car says something like all teenagers do. Do you really think it would go to, oh, I hate that thug music, and then you shoot a kid? Or a white kid walking down the street with a hoodie on and someone approaches him and they fear for their life, he's a white boy in a hoodie. They don't. They had these preconceived stereotypes, these preconceived biases, right? Through the media, through all these things, right? That hip hop music is thuggish, right? And this goes back. Listen, it's definitely changing 100%. But let's go back to that, because that man was what, in his 50s? So back then, to him, that's what he saw on TV, right? Thuggish music. He preconceives them as their thugs, as their gangbangers. A black man in the street, a young child with a hood up, look at him and you fear, because you are seen on TV. You see these men and you're taught to fear them, all because of the color of their skin. Yeah.
It's really bizarre.
Hot. It upsets me so much.
It does me too, but there's also, but I've also seen videos, and I think that's where some of this stuff comes from. Maybe not. But like, I've also seen videos of little 80-year-old white Jewish women in New York getting knocked out cold and their bags stolen in the elevator lobby.
Listen, it's,
So I think that's part of.
Exactly.
So now I'm scared of any black teenager in a hoodie.
But we're judging based off of that, is what
absolutely.
I'm saying. It's all judged based off of media, based off of things you see, these unconscious biases that are within you, right? These stereotypes that have been given to people. And it's not just people of color. It's all people throughout,
it's both ways, right? Because it's
100%.
All cops are bad. bad.
Exactly.
It's all everybody. Everybody's thrown into a bucket. It's all cops. It's all Republicans. It's all Democrats. It's whatever. But yeah, and and they're not willing to have a conversation. Like when the cop in Charleston shot that guy in the back when he was running and somebody else caught it on video. That was immediately squashed. There was no right. They did the right thing in Charleston. They took care of it. And who could support that guy?
No one.
You shot a man in the back. I don't care, black, white. It doesn't matter. You shot a guy in the back for absolutely no reason. But again, I see, and I think that's where everybody gets frustrated, right? Is the Gucci thing we talked about earlier. And now that's a big race thing, and somehow it's there's a white chick, it seems like, in the picture, so it's a white issue, and then you get with the cops and that kind of stuff, it's all cops, and it's every black kid in a hoodie's a thug, and how do we get beyond that other than just talking? That's what I love doing. Is I met a guy over here at the park one day. And he had just gotten out of church, and he's wearing a white suit and hat. And we're talking, and he's telling me about he had I believe a grocery store and a barber shop in Georgetown. I'm not an educated man, but all my children are. And this guy worked and worked and worked to put his kids through school because he wanted better for them. Just like we all do. We all want better for our kids. And eventually, every generation, there'll be less and less and less.
Like we talked about, like the way media is now showing so many groups of people in commercials and in movie roles and all these things. That's the most amazing thing that is shown in society right now, right?
Because that makes people mad.
Which is absolutely ludicrous to me, because think about this. Imagine as a child you see this, right? You see all different people in a commercial. It's kind of like me with my friends, never even realized that their parents were mixed. It's just normal to you. So it's not, you don't see people based off of their color, right? You don't. Everyone is equal within the same, right? So you're grown up thinking nothing of it, right? That's a beautiful thing. How is there outrage with that?
I get it and I understand, but I've also seen people that are like, all right, so now we've got we got to have a gay person in it. There has to be a person of color. There has to be a woman. There has to be I was like
it becomes right.
I understand. So now it's not authentic.
Exactly.
Right? This is now the model that we have to have, and the white guy's the enemy, right? The white guy, and I was like, I don't guess.
I mean, that can't. But
that's the way people act, and I'm like, this is just bizarre to me that And then I've heard people complaining, like I've listened to some radio out of New York, and people complaining about like white guys are always the fat, dumb, submissive in like comedies and stuff like that. I'm like, well, that's just where you're at right now. That's just what's funny. As soon as that changes, it'll be something else.
But wait, look at the outrage of that nowadays. But when the black man was thuggish, or the angry black man, or blackface was happening.
But
now you know the outrage, right? And I hate to say
no
that,
one ever looks in the mirror. Right?
Yeah.
They never look in the mirror. It was like we were talking earlier about the stuff going on in Chicago right now. We jump to judgment immediately, and everybody's putting out all these statements, and everybody's putting out their opinions, and now something has changed.
Yes.
And now the same people in that either have some celebrity or some kind of power or some kind of influence or reach. Now we're going to wait before we make a statement. You didn't wait.
Never.
You never waited. You jumped on it. We didn't verify anything. We didn't think for a second about anything. We make a statement, and then now we're backpedaling. And
my boyfriend has taught me how to remain calm and how to think before I speak, because I've always been someone too. I fault myself on this. I was raised by my mother. Sorry, Mom, but immediately you're spoken to when you speak, right? You have no second to have a thought process. You have no, and that also goes to social media, right? It's so quick to be able to put information out there. And he's taught me, you really need to think about the statements that you're going to say, because once you make them, they're out there. I say statements still sometimes, and I think about it, and I'm like, that was incorrectly stated. I'm sure something on this podcast, I'll say, oh my gosh, that's not how it was meant to be said, but I didn't think enough before I spoke it, right? It happens all the time.
Yeah.
People speak too fast. Before they get facts, before they get information, before they truly know what they're speaking about, they speak.
But there's no consequences.
None.
And I think that's the problem. Go back to, and I don't know all the details because I'm not watching the news. I'm just not dealing with negativity.
Yeah.
But the story a few weeks ago about the kid out of Kentucky or whatever and the Native American.
Yeah. I never watch those videos because it the front bothered me. So I know nothing about this. So you tell me.
I don't know much about it either, but it's this kid needs to be punched in the face. Kathy Griffin's putting out tweets about, I demand to know this kid's name and where they live and all this kind of stuff. Well, then another video comes out and the kid wasn't the problem. The kid was being yelled at and all this other stuff from other people were instigating or whatever. And it was just, he looked like a punk kid standing there with a grin on his face. But there's no consequences. So we jump to ruin this child's life. But CNN can do whatever. Everybody can put out all this stuff and their opinions.
Yeah.
But there's no consequences to it. And that's the thing that drives me nuts about the First Amendment is you've got the right to free speech, but that doesn't mean it's void of consequences. I mean, there should be consequences. You shouldn't be able to just go out and ruin someone's life.
Yep.
And so like there's a lady being sued from a restaurant in North Myrtle Beach from leaving fake reviews on their website because she couldn't use a coupon, and she puts comments online about how their food had worms in it and all.
Oh my God.
You can't do that.
You can't do that, but people do
You
it.
should be sued for that. That's illegal. You can't do that. But so many people, they get online and it's just, I can say anything I want to say because there's void of consequences. Man.
Online is a life ruiner. I don't know. Listen, I remember the days when we had AIM and MySpace and that was it, and it was monitored and we got a certain amount of time on it. And even that was bad because you still had like some of the messages I look at, I'm like, oh my gosh, we said that to one another. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it just continuously gets worse. Even adults sitting on the computer saying this nonsense all day?
Yeah, I wrote a blog recently about the consequences, the benefits and consequences of social media. And because I would tell our employees is you need to be very uber aware of what you're putting out on social media. And but there was I saw a post that we used as an example, and it was a guy that worked for like a dump truck kind of business. He's in the cab of his truck on a job site, takes a picture out the window because you can see other trucks.
Yeah.
Tags the company he works for and says, I'm too hungover for this today.
Oh, Lord.
How on any level do you think you're going to keep your job after that? It's just, we don't think. It's just, we jump out, we throw crap out there and, but yeah. That kind of stuff right there. This lady getting online, lying about worms in food and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. You think you just ruin somebody's life and get away with it. But at some points, there needs to be some accountability for the media or even influencers that have a huge reach that just jump out and puts it. I don't know what the answer is because you've got the right to freedom of speech, but there should be some consequences.
But where does it go too far?
To just lying, But all that stuff, I remember after the shooting in Las Vegas at that concert, there was videos going around of the video where you could hear the audio and then stuff that they aired on television that had completely been edited. I mean, why can't we just air the raw video? Yep. Why should we be able to edit anything? You can't edit police card video. Right? I mean, it has to be the whole thing.
The whole thing.
So why can the news media, and whoever it is, we've all seen this. I mean, I've seen pictures of the Wall Street Journal and delivered to one part of the country has one cover and delivered to another part of the country has a completely different cover, or the picture may be the same, but the titles are different. That kind of stuff. and we wonder why we're divided.
I know.
I mean,
seriously.
It's nuts, and it gets worse and worse, and I don't know what makes it better.
I honestly don't either.
Social media is not going anywhere
ever.
I mean, that genie's out of the bottle.
Yep.
It's never going back. I know some people are getting frustrated with it.
Yeah.
With just, I'm tired of seeing all this stuff. Like I don't even
Facebook. Listen.
Oh, I use it.
I don't know if you notice. I only post positive stuff on my Facebook, like videos.
Yeah,
like
that's all I do.
Literally,
that's all I do.
If I see one more negative thing, I'm like, how is your life so bad? You're sitting on Facebook posting something. So you have internet, you have the ability to have a phone. You are able to sit here, you're alive, you're breathing, but yet all you're doing is complaining and putting negative out there. And now that's not everyone. I'm not saying that, but a vast majority.
That in your life?
I don't understand.
Why do you bring this negativity into your life?
It's all you creating the negativity
I don't
too.
understand
and then you're forcing it out onto the other people in this world, and then people are getting in on it. It's right.
Well, that's what I don't understand is, so somebody posts something negative, people comment, and now we're fighting
through the internet.
So that's all you do all day long. You're just on your phone fighting to defend a post which was negative to the beginning. Why do you want that in your
Imagine what
life?
you could do with that time. Like, people, start to think about what you could do with this time.
Find positive stuff.
Thank you.
Like, I don't know. I've shared a couple of them, but have you seen the channel? It's a channel called Special Books by Special Kids.
No.
So this guy was I want to say special education teacher.
Okay.
And so now he just goes around. He started and it just got 1.2 million subscribers on YouTube, I believe. But he goes and finds people that have some kind of either disability, birth defect, whatever. He just sits down and talks to them. It's the most beautiful thing.
Is he a young guy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I feel like I know exactly what you're talking about.
Fantastic.
I swear I know what you're talking
That's
about.
the kind of stuff that's all I'll look at.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking at negative stuff. I'll unfollow. I'll hide. I'm getting it out of my life. I don't need it.
Well, because
there's no upside for me to have negativity in my life.
And if all you're doing is watching and reading and seeing negativity, that's the type of person you're going to be.
Yeah.
You are what you follow. You are what you hang around with. You are all these things. So if your whole entire bubble is that's all that's brought in, that's all you're going to be.
So one of my first blogs I wrote was I don't remember the title, but it's about your circle of influence.
Yeah.
And what I started talking about was when I was growing up, it was who you surround yourself with. Now it's what. Mm-hmm. It's not just who, it's what. Whatever you're consuming. If you hang out and your boyfriend complains nonstop, you're going to complain. If he's mad at the world and you're spinning off, I've watched it too many times. And so it's the same thing online. Like when I go to the gym, I get online and I'll go to YouTube and I'll start listening to motivational stuff. Mm-hmm. And it starts my day off right. Or I could go listen to a bunch of hateful garbage.
Yep.
And I could be in a bad mood all day.
Listen,
I don't understand why people do that.
I'm a prime example of surrounding yourself. My last relationship was a very negative, very bad relationship, right? He was so negative. So much. I'm not going to bash who he was as a person. We won't go there. But all I'm saying is who he was rubbed up on me so severely to the point where he lacked so much emotion that it inadvertently made me lack emotion to the point that you know how loving I am. I'm sure people who watch this video know me. I am like a love bug, right? I will hug you, everything. I couldn't even look my sister in the eyes after we finished a shop and tell her how proud I was of us and how much I love you. Right. And she can vouch for that. I looked down and I could barely look up at her because that's how much I had been brainwashed into being that person, right? Because I was with that person 24/7 and it made me become that. How awful is that? You can lose yourself so quickly to these things. And like you said, I started after I moved. All I listened to was inspirational speakers. Literally every morning. I'm not kidding you. It was like clockwork. I got ready. I was on the treadmill. I listened to them. And guess what? It changed my life. I
tell people it's simple.
It's simple.
It's not easy to just make changes. It's simple and it makes a difference. Mm-hmm. If you surround yourself with positive stuff, you're going to be more positive. Mm-hmm. There's no other way about it. No, it's going to happen. And if you surround yourself with negative stuff, you're going to be more negative. Mm-hmm. It's that easy. And so it's a conscious decision. 100%. What do you want to do? You want to surround yourself with positive stuff or surround yourself with negative stuff? It's like right now you go to my Instagram and just hit the search button, right? Yeah. And it just kind of auto-populates.
Oh, yeah.
Rihanna.
Rihanna.
Motorcycles, motivational stuff, and business stuff, and steak.
And
but really, that's all that's in there.
Yeah.
More Rihanna than anything. Yeah. But that's what's in there because that's just what I'm consuming or have consumed, and it just pops up. But like the political, I'm not dealing with that crap. I'm not bringing that negativity into my life.
You can't.
No,
you can't. There's no reason to. There's so much other stuff out there that's positive. Mm-hmm. Like I said, that special books by special kids and all that kind of stuff. And just there's gobs and gobs of positivity that you don't have to search for. No.
It's just there.
And then what a beautiful thing, because look, you do podcast High Tattoos. We can be those positive lights in people's life, right? When they don't have that positive thing that comes to them, the second they're with you or get in that room with you, you're able to bring that positivity. And it's like a quick change in their mood. You see it. You watch that light bulb go off and it starts to circulate through their life too, right?
But like I've seen negative people. They can't even go out to dinner.
Oh no, without
being negative, complaining about everything, or it's not your food wasn't screwed up deliberately. Exactly, it's just life. Mm-hmm. Have them fix you another one, or just whatever. But
I can't even send my food back if it's wrong. I feel too bad.
I eat it. I just eat it. If I order a steak and it's overcooked, it's good. Yeah, I just eat it. But like I ordered some fish. This was a long time ago. And Vicky picks it up. Yeah. And we get it back, and there's a piece of a wire from a wire brush in it. So I call them to let them know. I'm not complaining. I just want you to know that you've got a wire brush that you're cleaning the grill with that's falling apart.
Yeah.
You may want to know about this. And they start apologizing, and we'll give you. I was like, I don't need anything free. I mean, I pulled it out. It's fine. I just want you to know. But Like I didn't realize that there's people that will go to a restaurant and eat everything and complain until it's comped. That's stealing. That's all that is. You are a thief if you do that. But there's people that I had no idea. Mm-hmm. And we had some family in town. God, this was 10 or 12 years ago. And they were warning me about one of our guests would complain and get loud and all that. I was like, no, they're not. Mm-mm. I live in this community. I do business with it. You're not. If you do, you'll walk home. Yep. Or you can get a cab, or you can do whatever, because I will leave you sitting there. I mean, we're going to warn you? Like, I had a guy that used to work with.
They've allowed it, right? They've allowed it for so long that instead of doing anything about it or saying anything, they just watch it happen, allow it, and then warn people about it. And you're supposed to be okay with it.
This was in like 2005 or something. I come to another department at the office, and the manager's like, Jim's an asshole. You're going to have to overlook him. And I'm like, well, why don't Jim just stop being an ass? Isn't that the solution? Is just, let's have Jim stop being an ass. That solves the problem. Why does everybody else have to tiptoe around Jim for?
Why can't you just say you're being really rude? Like you know what I mean? Because sometimes too, people, if you're being an asshole, sometimes you don't even realize you're being an asshole, right? And sometimes you need to be put into check. Yeah. Instead of tiptoeing around these people. Yeah. Can't you check someone?
I don't know. That was the weirdest thing. That's the first time
people do it all the time.
I had ever had that experience. Was there was like, that's just the way he is. I was like, well, then maybe he needs to change. I don't get it.
Oh my goodness. How simple of a concept though, right? That we completely negate. Yeah. And the problem too lies in how unself-aware are you that you go out into society and be that type of person, right? Seriously, I say it all the time. Like when we were talking about biases, right? Unconscious, conscious. So many people have so many unconscious biases. If they would check their unconscious bias and make it a conscious bias, then they're able to change it.
Yeah.
But people don't do that. I have a conscious bias.
Right.
It's a terrible bias, and I work every day. And I'll tell it to people because people are going to be like, what a jerk. But I'm a tattoo artist. Cleanliness is a big thing for me, right? Because I have to deal with people's bodies all day.
Right.
And I have a conscious bias of when someone does not shower, right? And that's terrible. That is so ignorant of me. Like, no, seriously, that is so wrong of me, right? And it's not okay that I've addressed it. But what I do is I check it every day. I check it every second if that ever faces me, right? So that it does not become an issue because I'm the ignorant one for feeling that way, right? Yeah. Seriously, right? So you have to check these things, right? You have to check the type of person you are. You have to check the things that you don't like, the things that bother you. Seriously.
Vicky had to have a conversation with me the other day. We went and looked at a motorhome.
Yeah.
And we took Ashlyn back. And I'm just playing with Ashlyn. I'm like, get on the golf cart. I'll take you over there. And because they were trying to find our salesperson or whatever. And Vicky's like, you sound like a jerk right now. And I'm like, I'm just playing with the kid.
Yeah.
She's like, we don't just get on golf carts and take off. Stop. Well, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I was just playing with the kid.
Yeah.
But it's good to have those people in your life.
Exactly.
Like I think about that with like celebrity. When you're surrounded with just people that are yes.
Mm-hmm.
That won't look at you and say, yeah, it's probably a bad idea. You probably shouldn't shave your head today. You know, that kind of stuff.
R. Kelly, you probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah, but any of that kind of stuff, and they're surrounded because they're on the payroll.
Exactly.
And so nobody will say anything to them. Yeah, I don't know. I think about a lot of that stuff
all the time.
Yeah, but I'm glad I've got people in my life that'll be like, and like when I've called people about a buddy of mine, talking to him who I respect tremendously about starting this mobile thing. I'm like, I need your input, and I don't need you to tell me because you think that's what I want to hear. I need your honest feedback about does this make sense to you. So we have those conversations all the time. I'll ask anybody for help.
Oh yeah.
I tell our people when we have meetings and stuff, I was like, I don't know everything. Believe me, the whole of this organization is way smarter than I'll ever be. We can figure this stuff out together and just reach out to people. But I've met people like that too, you know. People that say, do you know who signs your paychecks? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And there's plenty of people that say that kind of stuff.
Why?
I guess because they want to show that they're the man. I don't know.
See.
My brother just went to work for somebody that did that to him. You know who signs your paychecks? To
try to like put fear into him?
Yeah. The customer does. That would be my response. It's the customer.
Yes.
That's where it comes from. Because without customers, there's no paychecks at all. So that's where it comes from. Yeah, it's just weird. But that's ego crap that I don't understand either. You know. So.
But it happens every day, and people need to start, like we've said, check yourself, man. Yeah. It's so easy to check yourself. And like you said, surround yourself with people who check you. Me and my boyfriend have the best relationship because of that fact. Because we know that if something's off or if someone, say, is speaking to someone in a disrespectful way, and it's real, right? You check them, not in a rude way, not in a disrespectful way, but are you listening to the way you're speaking? And guess what? Because of it, I've grown more than I've ever grown in my life, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what you need from people.
Yeah. When you mention that, it makes me think about how much just over the last few years I've grown. Mm-hmm. And it's just those changes that I've made. Yeah. I've done a lot of reflecting. I've sought out a lot of motivational stuff, sought out more positive stuff. And it's completely changed my life in the last, it's been a journey, but really over the last 3 or 4 years probably. Yep. And so much of it since daughter was born. But all of it come from Vicky. Yeah. She was super into, we used to try to find kids at Christmas before we had a kid to buy for. She couldn't find anything from the school district we were in, so she found a battered women's shelter. Oh, Jen, we go in, or Vicky does. I can't take any credit for this. Vicky goes in. Look, we didn't have a lot of money. We weren't making a ton of money. Yeah. And she's like, I want to buy for the people in the shelter. Here, make a list. She never give them any stipulations or anything. A jacket. Yeah, a Barbie doll. something for my mom, that kind of stuff. And that's the first time I remember this. She went back and bought food for him, like took him like a Christmas dinner, it seems like, or Thanksgiving. But that's where it started with us, and that was 2003, 2004. And so every year we've just kept adding to that, adding to that, and adding to that. And giving back like that is so rewarding.
I need to come with you guys. I didn't know you did all that.
Oh my God. So there was one year it was probably 10 or 12 years ago, we were doing a camera project for the school district here. So I got to meet all the principals and that kind of stuff. And that year we bought for 17 kids. God. And the thought process there was we were going to buy for kids. So let's find large families. Mm-hmm. People may come in and buy for one or two, but if there's 5 siblings, they may not get
exactly.
First. So we bought for those, but we did 17 that year. So Vicky's always done that kind of stuff, raise money. We've always given a Christmas gift. Like we want to tip a waiter or waitress $100 at Christmas. So we've always done that. And then this last year for our anniversary, if you guess what I wanted, I said, I want to go breakfast, lunch, and dinner and leave $500 tips. That's what I want to do. And since Vicky's smarter than I am, she's like, that may be difficult to do in one day because you don't want to just give it away to somebody that's a jerk or whatever. So we said, well, let's just do it this month. And I was going through Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru, and I met this lady on the other end of the speaker. She was the sweetest thing.
Yeah.
And I call Vicky. I was like, I found somebody for the breakfast. So I bring Vicky through the next day, and same lady's there waiting on us. And she says, she's talking to us, and I asked her, I was like, are you working this weekend? Yes. So Vicky and I agree this is the one we're going to do it for. We come back Sunday, and she's not there.
No.
We don't see her anywhere. We order, we sit down, and she walks out from the back.
Oh, my God.
So I go up, and I told her, I was like, when you get a minute, do you mind to come to my table? I want to talk to you. She don't remember me. I mean, I got a muffin and a Coke or whatever. She's 100 people a day. She comes over, and she seemed a little timid. She probably thinks somebody's going to complain, whatever. I had the money folded to where you couldn't see the denomination. It was 5 $100 bills. And I said, it's our anniversary. We want to do this. We want to give somebody a gift to bring some joy into their life that we've had over the last 25 years, something corny like that. Try to hand it to her. She's like, no, I can't take it. I'm like, no, this is what we want to do. Thank you for what you do. You're a sweetheart in a drive-through. You're in a field that probably people they're disrespectful. They don't appreciate you. We appreciate you. So here's what we'd like to do. She takes it, gives us a hug, and walks off. She just sticks it straight in her pocket. She goes back to the back, and 30 seconds later, she's back up front. She's crying at this point.
Oh, my God.
She's got Vicky crying. We're hugging in Dunkin' Donuts. And it was just so nice. So then I go back through the drive-thru one day, and there's a different lady there. And we still hadn't found the other 2 people yet, right? So I still got $1,000 cash on me. And she's like, oh, that's the guy that gave me the tip to the other lady. And the other chick's like, where's mine?
No, she did.
She did. And I'm like, I'm still trying to find those other 2 people. That's what it was. I said, I'm still trying to find those other 2 people. She's like, where's mine?
Oh, my God.
So I just reach in my pocket and give her $100 and drive off.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. But we did it a couple years ago in Gatlinburg when they had all the fires.
Yeah.
At Waffle House, and the girl comes out and she's hugging Vicky's neck, and she's like, "I just lost everything." You have no idea. Like this lady, I mean, who knows? I mean, she could have been back on her rent. It could be tires for her car.
Yeah.
It could be Christmas for her kids or whatever. And I refuse to video because that's not why we do it.
No, never.
And I was having this conversation yesterday, it seems like. But I don't have a problem with people that do video it.
No.
Because if you video it and it gets other people doing it,
exactly.
It's just not the reason we do it. So, and
well, it's like people, so that's incredible, first of all. Like my mind, I love you guys so much. You already know I love you, but that like touches my heart another level because my mom's always done stuff like that, right? So inadvertently, like I'll pay for people's groceries or things, but without them knowing because I don't want... For me, I get that, right? But like you said, I understand when people do, and I think it's so beautiful. And I hate people who troll those people for doing it, who say things like, oh, you just want attention. No. Can we look at this for the good that these people are doing for these people's lives?
Because the people that are doing that are filling their feed with negative stuff. Yeah. They can't stand anything positive, and it's you're only doing this for this reason.
Yeah.
No matter what their intention was, if it gets somebody else doing it,
it's a win.
Yeah.
100%.
And it didn't take that level. I mean, we've only done that, the $500 a couple times, but just buying somebody's behind you in drive-through, and you look in your mirror and you see them smile. Yeah, it's great. But somebody could be having a terrible day, and that could completely change their morning or their day or whatever.
Listen, someone could be using their last dollars to get their food, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you never know what people are going through. Yeah. If you have it, why not do it? Yeah. Like, it not only makes them feel like $1 million, it makes you feel like $1 million.
It's brought more value to my life than I've ever spent doing it. Like after the hurricane, Ashland's school sent out an email saying they were looking for help because they were trying to make 1,000 is what they started with, 1,000 bag lunches, because I didn't realize this, but a lot of kids in schools only have free lunch to eat.
Yeah.
There's no breakfast at home. There's no dinner at home. Nothing. They only get to eat at school. So the principal puts out this thing. We've been out of school for a week or whatever. We're looking to do this. So Vicky and I tell Vicky about it. Said we want to do something. So we go get some money out of the bank and we go to Sam's. And I've got a company trailer because we're going to load this trailer up and take it to the school. Cool. So we go and we buy like 1,600 juice boxes and I got God knows how many bags of chips. I mean, we had this trailer loaded down. And we take it, we drop it off, talk to the principal. You need anything else, let us know. And a buddy of mine out of the shop in Columbia is friends with the principal. So the principal sends him a note and says, do you know this guy and his family? And had a picture, and it was a picture of the trailer from work. So it had a logo on it.
Yeah.
And immediately the marketing lady says, can we use this picture on social media? I'm like, absolutely not. Number one, I did it. My family did it. And that's not why we did it. I just had to have a trailer to use. And if you want to do it on social media, that's fine. Give me money to go buy stuff. So I got work and my part. So Mobilecom and Myrtle Beach Com spent another $5,000.
Stop it.
And we went and loaded a trailer full of like diapers and paper and all that kind of stuff and took it to Soxty and give it away. And then we helped the other school out some more. Vicky and I did just as a family. But it's so much more rewarding than just stuff. Like when we went and bought that crap at the store, I don't even remember what we spent, but whatever, call it $1,200.
Yeah.
We could have went and done that and helped feed 1,500 kids. Or we could have went and bought $1,200 worth of garbage that we didn't need.
Yeah.
But what I always tell people is, in that situation, we'll get credit, but we did the bare minimum. We went to the bank and took money out and went to Sam's. That's all we did.
Yeah.
The people that deserve the credit are the people that made 1,500 sandwiches. The people that loaded up and delivered 1,500 lunches. Yeah. They gave time, which is way more precious than money.
100%.
But that balance, I think, works out. So, and so we don't ever do it for credit and that kind of stuff. It just makes you feel good.
And that's what it should be.
And I can't imagine people, that have the means to do it that don't.
That don't do it.
Yeah.
How do you not if you have the means?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't either.
But it's weird. I watched a video the other day with Bill Gates.
Yeah.
And they're trying to give a ton of money away. He's the second richest guy in the world or something at this point. But they were talking about taxing the rich, with like, you can't do it through income tax. You'll have to do it through capital gains and all that kind of stuff, which I don't believe at all, because that affects everybody and not just the uber rich. But they're trying to give all this money away. But that takes me back to another interview I'm watching where this guy was it wasn't Steve Wynn, but he was like a casino mogul, and he's worth, I don't know, $38 billion. And the lady doing the interview asked, how has your life changed from, I don't even remember, $1 billion or 10 billion to 38? And he's like, it hasn't. I can buy more stuff. You could already buy anything you ever want. You could buy a small country. Nothing changes. So I have a lot of respect for those people that are giving it away. But just people that, but then again, that gets trolled as well, because
for sure.
Jeff Bezos just did something. I say it's been in the last year, to where he was going to put, I don't know how many DACA kids through college. And it's like, So people immediately start doing the math, and it's like, that's like you donating $50. And it was
See,
like 10,
that's
but it was like,
so
I don't remember the number. Call it $10 million,
Yeah.
$30 million he was going to spend. They're like, that's like you doing $50. I'm like, it's not, because $50 doesn't put a single person through school. This guy's spending 20, 30, whatever it was.
He's doing something. So why are you
he's doing more than complaining about it.
Yes. Like, can't we just appreciate people doing for other people? Like, where have we lost that?
Yeah.
Where do we not see the joy and the beauty in that? That's what I don't understand. Like, how can you find any negativity in someone helping another human being?
But like, wasn't it you that posted the GoFundMe that I went and donated to?
Oh my gosh, yes.
But like, I do that crap all the time
listen,
too.
You did it, then my dad did it. I saw that and I about cried. I'm not even kidding you. I saw your name and I was like, because this girl, amazing young girl. Like, I went to high school with her, and you want to talk about a joy, and to know that she's going through that is heartbreaking, and to see the outpouring of all the people I know. Myself, you, then my dad donates. I think my sister was donating. Like, all these people. And the fact that that's the coolest thing. You have a platform, right? Because you have this, so you're able to share it. I have a platform through Jesse's shop, through our shop, right? So you can share it through all these things. So that's even a step in the right direction, because if you're sharing it, the more people are able to see it. You can help in the simplest way. Look, it took like a day for them to literally get the amount of money they needed.
Oh, did they get it all?
Oh my gosh. And then it upped. Like, they've gotten just more, because that's the outpouring that people are willing to give, right?
Yeah. But that's the other thing, is it doesn't have to be a lot of money.
No.
$5
goes a long
multiplied.
way.
You know, it's just, you just got to do something. But like GoFundMe and all that stuff, that's what I love right now with where we are with technology and all that kind of stuff, that you have the ability to put out a post that says, here's a friend that needs some help. And other people can go and donate and help them change their life. But yeah, I do a lot of that. A lot of GoFundMe, just random stuff I see on GoFundMe, I'll just start donating to.
Because it's the best thing. Like, you see these stories, and can you imagine if it's happening to you, right? Imagine that in itself. Like, if you can't just feel that compassion towards another person, right, which we all should be able to, but if you can't put yourself in that person's shoes too, and think about if you were that person. Yeah.
But I'll do a lot of like there's kids that are making sandwiches for the homeless. Yeah. That kind of stuff just, oh my God, it just drives me crazy. So I immediately start donating to those people or whatever. But and I just do it because it makes me feel better.
That's exactly. It's like a selfish thing in a way, right? Because it does. It makes you feel better.
Yeah. Well, but see, so then I'm caught in, it's kind of a catch-22 for me. Yeah. Is because you go to GoFundMe and you donate, and then it says
your name.
Well,
no.
But it gives you the option to share it. And if you share it, there's some statistic about donations increased by, the odds of more is 70% or something. I don't remember what the deal is. But I don't want to share it because I don't want it to look like you were doing it just to share and say, oh, look at me, I went and donated.
See, and that's sick that we even have to think about that, right? Isn't that sick, like, underthought where you literally have to think, well, I don't want people to think that I'm trying to make myself look any type of way by doing this. Yeah. We need that's our wrong thinking. Yeah. It really is. Because at the end of the day, we're doing something to better someone else or their lives, or, you know what I mean? Just to help the general population, may it be, general people in this world. It's okay to share it, and don't feel that way, right? You shouldn't. We shouldn't. We do.
I know.
A lot of us do.
I never share it.
Yeah.
I see where other people shared it. I'll donate, but I never do share it. Just because I don't want people. The same thing with recording. Whenever we go give gifts or whatever, I don't want people to think that's the reason you're doing it for attention. You're doing it for attention.
That is not why.
If that's why somebody's giving their money away for attention or whatever, it's still doing the same thing. Yeah. But it's weird. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
That was awesome.
No, it's always a lot of fun. I love having conversations with people. Yeah. It's just like, it's changing my life, and I can't wait for what the future holds. It's
going to be amazing. You're doing amazing things. I don't think I can tell you that enough. I remember when, end of story, but Jesse told me about you forever ago, before I knew you, how you changed her life and the things you spoke. You really did change her life.
I still feel like I don't deserve that
Well,
kind of
you
stuff.
do. You do. You have to, because here's the deal. You do so much for people. Start to realize what you do. And I know it seems so minute to you, right? Because it's always seemed so minute to me that talking to someone can change their life, right? That I can get all these overwhelming thanks yous, or you're the nicest, kindest person. I'm so glad I met you. And I'm like, I don't deserve that.
Yeah,
but
that's
you do.
how I feel.
But you have to, because you do deserve it. And people are telling you this. People aren't just blowing smoke up your behind, okay? Well, you need to realize that you have changed so many lives. And every podcast you do, you're changing someone, because someone is watching it and is able to connect with what you're speaking about, right?
That's the goal.
That's incredible.
The goal.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
So, that's why I keep doing it. And that's what the why is, and why we keep moving forward. But yeah, I don't feel, and I've had the same thing, I don't feel like, because like whenever I was encouraging Jessie to go do her own thing, she was just doing work on me. Like I said, it was like a therapy session, and we're just talking. I was like, you're good enough. You need to raise your prices and go do it. You're an amazing artist. Yeah. You can do this. Go do it. Now she's got a beautiful studio.
And look, it changed her life. It made her do what she did, right? And then, look, you affected two people's lives, because if she'd never done that, I would never have been what I am. I promise you, I would never tattoo.
Yeah, but even like at the grand opening and all that stuff, I want to support her. I always travel up there to see her, because she is amazing. And she's changed my life just as much as, or more than anything I've ever done for her. But
goes both ways.
It does. But
you're changing my life too now. So I hope you know that everything you do is so incredible.
But it's hard. It's hard to accept.
Yeah.
That you're having an effect on people. Although that's the goal, that's what you want to do. When people tell you that that's what's going on,
it's like, hard.
I don't deserve that. We're just talking, right?
I still don't believe I'm a good tattooer. Like seriously, that's sick, right?
Yeah.
People can tell you all day, but it's still, I get it.
Yeah.
It's not right how we think, right? You need to, at some point, always stay humble, but know that what you do does have a greater impact.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That's the goal.
Does.
That's what we're trying for.
You're awesome, man.
I love it. Thank you.
Woohoo.